Queen Ishara stood in her throne room, staring at the impossible data on the holographic display. Her advisors whispered nervously behind her, but she heard none of it. The numbers made no sense. The biosignature was clear, unmistakable, and absolutely impossible. Princess Ariel was alive. 3 years. 3 years since the diplomatic vessel had been torn apart by Korath raiders in the fringe sectors. 3 years since Ishara had watched the wreckage scatter across the void. 3 years since she had mourned her only daughter, her heir, her child. And now this signal, broadcasting from the edge of Velthara space. "Your Majesty," Commander Vera said carefully. She was a tall woman with silver markings across her face, a veteran of countless battles. "We must consider this could be a trap." Ishara's hands clenched. "Send the recovery fleet now." "My queen—" "Now, Commander." Ishara's voice cut like crystal. "If there is even the smallest chance my daughter lives, we will find her." Vera bowed and left quickly. The other advisors scattered, leaving Ishara alone with her thoughts. She had ruled the Velthara Empire for 40 years, conquered star systems, negotiated treaties with dozens of species. She had never allowed emotion to cloud her judgment. But she was a mother before she was a queen. The recovery fleet reached the coordinates within hours. The ship surrounded a small battered shuttle that looked like it had been through a war. Scorch marks covered its hull. One wing was missing entirely. It was a miracle the thing could still fly. Vera led the boarding team herself. She kept her weapon ready as the airlock cycled open. Steam hissed into the cold corridor. 2 figures stepped through. The first was Ariel. Vera recognized her immediately, though she looked nothing like the princess she remembered. The girl who had left 3 years ago had been soft, delicate, raised in palace luxury. This woman had scars across her arms and face. Her eyes were hard and alert, constantly scanning for threats. She moved like a soldier. The second figure made Vera's breath catch. He was alien. Not Velthara, not Korath, not any species Vera had ever seen. He stood shorter than Ariel, but broader with strange proportions. His skin was tan, his hair black and cut short. He wore armor that looked primitive, pieced together from scrap metal and leather. 2 weapons hung from his belt, kinetic pistols that belonged in a museum. But it was his eyes that unsettled Vera most. They were calm, cold, and completely aware. This was not a diplomat or a merchant. This was someone who had killed before and would kill again without hesitation. "Commander Vera," Ariel said, her voice rough. "It's good to see you again." "Princess." Vera lowered her weapon slowly. "Your mother will be overjoyed." Ariel smiled, but it didn't reach those hard eyes. "I'm sure she will." She gestured to the male beside her. "This is Jiwan. He's human." "Human?" Vera had never heard the word. A species from an uncharted system. "And the reason I'm still alive." The male, Jiwan, said nothing. He simply watched, his hand resting near his weapon with casual readiness. The journey to Nevterra took 2 days. Vera kept the princess and the human separated from the crew, partly for security and partly because she didn't know what else to do. Ariel spent most of the time sleeping, as if she hadn't rested in years. Jiwan sat in his quarters, maintaining his weapons with practiced efficiency. When Vera tried to question him, his answers were brief. "Where are you from?" "Earth." "How did you meet the princess?" "Her ship crashed." "I helped. Why?" Jiwan looked at her with those unsettling eyes. "Because she needed help." Vera sent his biometric data to the science division. The results came back within hours and made no sense. The human's biology was redundant, inefficient, and incredibly durable. His muscles contained more slow-twitch fibers than any species on record. His bones were dense and heavy. His body temperature was high enough to cause fever in a Velthara. Most disturbing was his pain tolerance. Scans showed healed injuries that should have killed him. Broken bones, torn muscles, deep lacerations. He had survived and kept functioning. What kind of world produces something like this? The chief medical officer asked. Vera had no answer. Nevterra appeared through the view screen like a jewel, its crystalline towers catching the light of 3 suns. The capital of the Velthara Empire, home to billions, center of galactic power in this sector. The shuttle landed in the royal hangar. Thousands had gathered to witness the impossible return. Queen Ishara stood at the base of the ramp, surrounded by guards and advisors. She wore her formal robes, but her hands trembled. The airlock opened. Ariel stepped out first. For a moment, she just stood there looking at her mother. Then she walked down the ramp, slowly at first, then faster. Ishara met her halfway, and they embraced while the crowd cheered. But Vera watched the human. Jiwon descended the ramp carefully, his eyes tracking every guard, every exit, every potential threat. He stayed 3 steps behind Ariel, giving her space but remaining close. When he reached the bottom, he stood quietly, hands at his sides, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. Queen Ishara pulled back from her daughter, tears streaming down her face. "I thought I'd lost you forever." "I almost was lost," Ariel said softly. "But someone found me." She turned and held out her hand. "Mother, this is Jiwon. He saved my life." Ishara looked at the human properly for the first time. She was a queen, trained to read people, to assess threats and opportunities. What she saw confused her. The male was alert but not aggressive, armed but not threatening. He met her gaze respectfully but without fear. "You brought my daughter home," Ishara said. "Yes, Your Majesty," Jiwon replied. His voice was quiet, his accent strange. "The Empire owes you a debt." "No debt," Jiwon said simply. "She needed help." "I gave it," the crowd murmured. In Velthara culture, everything was transaction, obligation, debt, and honor. The concept of helping without expecting return was alien. Duke Haman, the head of the traditional faction, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we should have this human properly examined. We know nothing about his species or his intentions." "His intentions saved the princess," Ariel said, her voice sharp, "while your search fleets found nothing for 3 years." Haman's face darkened, but he bowed and stepped back. Ishara studied her daughter, seeing the changes. The scars, the hardness, the way she stood like a warrior. "What happened to you out there?" Ariel looked at Jiwon. Something passed between them. Understanding, shared memory, bond forged in blood and survival. "We survived, Mother," Ariel said. "Together. And if you want to understand how, you need to understand what humans are." She turned back to the crowd, her voice carrying across the hangar. "Without him, I would be dead 10 times over. He is the reason I survived the Fringe. He is the reason I stand here now." The crowd fell silent. Jiwon remained still, uncomfortable with the praise, his expression unreadable. Queen Ishara looked at this strange male who had done the impossible, who had kept her daughter alive in the most dangerous region of known space, who asked for nothing in return. "Then he will be treated as a hero of the Empire," Ishara declared. "Until we understand the full story, he is under royal protection. Anyone who threatens him threatens the crown itself." Vera bowed, as did the other guards. But as the crowd dispersed and the royal party moved toward the palace, Vera couldn't shake her unease. She had fought in wars, faced death, led soldiers into battle. Yet this quiet human made her more nervous than any enemy she'd ever faced. Something told her the galaxy had no idea what it was dealing with, and neither did they. The medical facility was the most advanced in the Empire. White walls, floating displays showing biological data in real time, machines that could regrow limbs and cure diseases that plagued other species. But even here, the doctors looked confused. Princess Ariel lay on the examination table while scanners passed over her body. Commander Vera stood in the observation room with the chief medical officer, Dr. Minho, watching through the transparent wall. "These injuries," Minho said, pointing to the holographic display. "This one should have killed her. The bone was completely shattered." He zoomed in on Ariel's left leg, and this, her lung was punctured. How did she survive? "She had help," Vera said, looking through the window at the second examination room where Jiwon sat calmly, while other doctors studied him. "From the human." Minho shook his head. "His medical knowledge must be extraordinary." "I don't think it was medical knowledge," Vera said quietly. "I think he just kept her alive through sheer determination." In the interrogation chamber 3 floors down, intelligence officers questioned Ariel. She sat across from them, tired but alert. Ambassador Nari led the questioning. She was younger than most in her position, promoted for her brilliant mind rather than political connections. "Princess, please describe the attack," Nari said gently. Ariel's eyes went distant. "The Korath ships came out of nowhere. 12 raiders against our single diplomatic vessel. We never had a chance," she paused. "The captain tried to escape, but they disabled our engines. Then they boarded." "How did you escape?" "I didn't. The Korath took me. They wanted ransom." Ariel's hands clenched. "But their ship was damaged in the attack. They had to make an emergency landing on the nearest world. Havok 9. Nari checked her datapad. "Havok 9 is listed as uninhabitable. Class 10 death world. It is, Ariel said. The Korath died within a week. Disease, predators, the environment, everything on that world wants to kill you. I should have died too. But you didn't. Because I found Jiwon. Or he found me. In the other interrogation room, Jiwon faced 3 intelligence officers. General Taiyun sat at the head of the table, a massive male with scars across his neck from decades of military service. How long were you on Havok 9? Taiyun asked. 38 years, Jiwon replied simply. The officers exchanged glances. You survived alone on a Class 10 death world for 38 years? Yes. How? Jiwon shrugged. I learned. I adapted. I stayed alive. Your colony ship crashed there. Yes, I was 20 years old. The ship failed coming out of hyperspace. Wrong coordinates. We hit the planet hard. Jiwon's voice remained flat, emotionless. 247 people on board. I was the only survivor after the first month. Taiyun leaned forward. And then you survived alone for almost 4 decades? Yes. Doing what? Hunting, building, staying away from things that wanted to eat me. Jiwon met the general's eyes. Staying alive. Back in Ariel's interrogation, she described the moment she met Jiwon. I was dying, she said. The Korath had left me with basic supplies, but I didn't know how to use them. Everything I tried to eat was poisonous. The water made me sick. And the predators, she shuddered. They hunted me every night. What happened? I was trying to start a fire. I'd seen it done in training simulations, but I couldn't make it work. My hands were shaking too much, and then I heard something behind me. Ariel's voice softened. I turned around and there he was. This strange alien, watching me from the trees. I thought I was hallucinating. You didn't run? I was too weak to run, and he didn't look threatening, just curious. Ariel smiled slightly. He walked over, took my fire starter and showed me how to use it properly. Within minutes I had a fire. Then he left. He just left? He came back the next day with food. And the day after that, slowly he taught me how to hunt, how to tell poisonous plants from safe ones, how to read the weather, how to move quietly. Ariel looked at her scarred hands. How to kill. In Jiwon's room, General Taiyun asked, Why did you help her? She needed help, Jiwon said, as if it were obvious. You didn't know her. She was alien to you, so? You had survived alone for decades. Adding another person meant sharing resources, taking risks. It would have been safer to leave her. Jiwon was quiet for a moment. Safer, yes, but not right, right? Taeyun didn't understand. She was dying. I could help. So I did. Jiwon spread his hands. That's all. The intelligence officers struggled to comprehend this logic. Everything in their culture was based on exchange, on benefit, on rational calculation. Helping someone at personal cost without expectation of return made no sense. Ariel continued her story. The Korath came back after 2 months. A recovery team looking for survivors and salvage. They found us. What did you do? Jiwon had been preparing for this. He'd built traps, hidden weapons, planned escape routes. When the Korath landed, we were ready. Ariel's voice hardened. There were 12 of them. Enhanced warriors with advanced weapons and armor. And you survived against them? Jiwon taught me a human saying, technology fails. Adaptation succeeds. We didn't fight them directly. We used the environment. Led them into predator territories. Poisoned their water. Set their ship on fire while they slept. Ariel met Nari's eyes. We hunted them like they'd hunted me. You killed them? All of them. It took 3 weeks. Nari felt a chill. The princess she'd known 3 years ago would have been horrified at such violence. This woman spoke of systematic killing as if it were ordinary. In the other room, Jiwon described the same events with mechanical precision. The Korath had superior technology but poor tactics. They operated as if the environment was neutral. On Havok 9, nothing is neutral. I used their assumptions against them. You killed 12 enhanced warriors with primitive weapons, Taiyun said. 17, Jiwon corrected. Another team came 6 months later, then a third team after a year. The officers stared. You killed 43 Korath total? 46. 3 more came separately. Jiwon's voice didn't change. After the third team disappeared, they stopped coming. How? One of the younger officers asked. The Korath are the most feared raiders in this sector. Each warrior is worth 10 regular soldiers. They fight like soldiers, Jiwon said. I fought like prey. Humans learn to hunt by being hunted first. We understand fear, desperation, and what it takes to survive when you're weaker than everything around you. Tyon studied the human. You sound like you respect them. I respect anything that survives, but I respected staying alive more. The interrogations lasted 3 days. Both Ariel and Jiwon told the same story, consistent in every detail. The intelligence officers compiled their reports, sent biometric data to analysts, and tried to understand what they were dealing with. Dr. Minho presented his findings to Queen Ishara in the throne room. Your Majesty, the human's biology is extraordinary. His species evolved on what we would classify as a Class 9 death world. High gravity, extreme climate variations, aggressive diseases, and dangerous predators. Worse than HFY 9? Ishara asked. Different. HFY 9 is acutely hostile. Everything kills quickly. The human homeworld, Earth, is chronically hostile. It doesn't kill quickly. It wears you down over time. Humans evolved not to be stronger or faster, but to be more persistent than anything trying to kill them. What does that mean? Minho pulled up a hologram of human anatomy. Look at this. Redundant systems everywhere. If one kidney fails, they have another. They can lose large amounts of blood and keep functioning. Their bones heal stronger after breaking. Their immune system is aggressive enough to fight diseases that would kill most species. And mentally, that's even more unusual. Humans have extreme endurance. They can push through pain, exhaustion, and fear that would break other species. In ancient times, they hunted by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They didn't outrun their food, they outlasted it. Ishara looked at the data. And this human kept my daughter alive using these traits? More than that. He trained her to think like a human. She has psychological markers consistent with human survival patterns now. She can endure more pain, push past normal limits, and remain functional under extreme stress. He changed her. He kept her alive. That required changing her. That evening, Queen Ishara called for a private meeting. Just her, Ariel, and Jiwon in a small chamber with no guards or advisors. Ishara looked at the human directly. You saved my daughter 17 times, killed 46 of our enemies, and survived alone on a death world for decades. She paused. What do you want in return? Jiwon met her eyes. Nothing, Your Majesty. That's not possible. Everyone wants something. I don't. Ariel touched Jiwon's arm gently. He's telling the truth, Mother. He's refused everything I've offered him. Ishara studied them both. The way her daughter touched him. The way he relaxed slightly at her presence. There was more here than simple survival partnership. Then I'll ask differently, Ishara said. What do you need? Jiwon was quiet for a long moment. I need to go home. To Earth? Yes. Ishara nodded slowly. Then we'll take you home. Thank you. But first, Ishara said, you need to understand something. You've become political. The moment you walked off that shuttle with my daughter, you became important. Every faction in my court is now trying to figure out how to use you. I don't want to be used. I know, but want doesn't matter. Ishara's voice, soft to the alien queen's daughter, returned alive, and a human stood. Next to her, the council chamber was full. Representatives from every major faction of the Velthera Empire crowded the curved benches, all wanting to see the human who had saved the princess. Jiwon stood in the center of the circular room, uncomfortable under the scrutiny of hundreds of eyes. Ariel stood beside him, her presence the only thing keeping him calm. Duke Hammon rose first. He was old, traditional, and deeply suspicious of anything that threatened the established order. Your Majesty, he said, bowing to Queen Ishara on her throne. We are grateful for Princess Ariel's return, but we must address the situation this creates. Speak plainly, Duke, Ishara said. This human is an unknown variable. We have no records of his species. No treaties, no protocols, no understanding of his culture or intentions. Hammon gestured at Jiwon. He has proven himself capable of extreme violence. He has killed dozens of warriors with primitive weapons. What happens when he learns to use our technology? He saved my daughter's life, Ishara said coldly. Yes, and we are grateful. But gratitude must not blind us to potential danger. Hammon looked around the chamber. I propose we study the human thoroughly, learn everything we can about his species, and then return him to his homeworld with appropriate compensation. It is the safest course. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the traditional faction. Ambassador Nari stood up. She was younger, progressive, and fascinated by the implications of first contact with a new species. With respect to the Duke, that is short-sighted, Nari said. We have an opportunity here. A new species previously unknown, with remarkable survival capabilities. We should be building a relationship, not pushing them away. A relationship? Heyman scoffed. They're primitives, non-spacefaring. What could they possibly offer us? The princess is alive because of one of those primitives, Nari shot back. Perhaps we could learn something about survival from a species that evolved on a world trying to kill them every day. General Taeyun rose from the military section. His presence commanded immediate attention. I've read the combat reports, Taeyun said. This human defeated 46 Korath warriors using improvised weapons and guerrilla tactics. The Korath are enhanced, trained, and equipped with modern weapons. Yet they lost. He looked at Jiwon with respect. That suggests human military doctrine might be valuable. You want to weaponize them? Heyman asked, alarmed. I want to understand them, Taeyun corrected. There's a difference between understanding capability and exploiting it. The debate raged for hours. Some wanted to quarantine Earth, keeping humans isolated until the Velthera could determine if they were threat or opportunity. Others wanted immediate contact, formal treaties, and cultural exchange. The military faction wanted to study human combat techniques. The science division wanted biological samples and data. Through it all, Jiwon stood silent, watching, absorbing. Finally, Queen Ishara raised her hand. The chamber fell quiet. The council has made its perspectives clear, she said. But before we decide the fate of human-Velthera relations, perhaps we should ask the human himself. She looked at Jiwon. What do you want? Every eye turned to him. Jiwon took a breath. I want to go home. Nothing else? Heyman asked skeptically. No wealth, no technology, no position? No, why not? Because those things don't matter to me. Jiwon's voice was quiet but firm. I've lived without them for 38 years. I don't need them now. Everyone wants something, Heyman insisted. Not everyone, Ariel said quietly. That's what you don't understand about humans. They value different things than we do. Nari stepped forward. If we send you home, what would you tell your people about us? Jiwon considered this. I would tell them the truth. That you exist. That you're advanced beyond anything we've achieved. That you returned me when you didn't have to. He paused. And that you're not gods or demons, just people trying to survive like everyone else. Would your people be afraid? Taeyun asked. Some would. Some would be excited. Some wouldn't believe it. Jiwon shrugged. Humans disagree about everything. That's part of who we are. Chaos, Heyman muttered. Diversity, Nari corrected. Queen Ishara made her decision. We will prepare an expedition to Earth. Ambassador Nari will lead it. We'll return Jiwon to his people and establish first contact protocols. She looked at her council. But we do this carefully. No threats, no demands. We extend friendship and see how they respond. And if they respond poorly? Heyman asked. Then we withdraw and leave them alone. Ishara's voice was final. We don't threaten species for existing. The council session ended. Ariel walked Jiwon back to his quarters through the palace corridors. Guards followed at a discreet distance. Thank you, Jiwon said quietly. For what? For defending me. For standing beside me in there, Ariel smiled. You stood beside me on Havoc 9 every day for 3 years. This is nothing. They reached his quarters. Jiwon hesitated at the door. What's wrong? Ariel asked. I'm not sure I want to go back. Ariel's breath caught. What? Earth? It's been 38 years. Everyone I knew is dead or old. The world I remember doesn't exist anymore. Jiwon looked at his hands. And I've changed. I don't know if I fit there anymore. You could stay here, Ariel said softly, could I? Your Duke is right to be suspicious. I'm dangerous. I don't think like you do. I don't value what you value. You value life. You value helping people who need help. You value doing what's right even when it costs you. Ariel touched his arm. Those are good values. Maybe. Jiwon met her eyes. What do you value? Right now, I value you being alive, and I value not losing you again. Before Jiwon could respond, an alarm blared through the palace. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Guards ran past, weapons drawn. Commander Vera appeared, running toward them. Princess, we need to get you to the secure level, now. What's happening? Ariel demanded. Korath fleet. 30 ships just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system. Vera grabbed Ariel's arm. They're demanding we surrender someone to them. Who? Vera looked at Jiwan. The human who killed their warriors. In the command center, tactical displays showed the Korath fleet advancing. Queen Ishara stood at the center, surrounded by military advisors and council members. How many ships do we have in system? She asked. 15, General Taeyun replied. We're outnumbered 2-1. Can we hold them? Not without significant casualties. The Korath are here for blood. They won't negotiate. Duke Hammond spoke up. Your Majesty, the solution is obvious. Give them the human. One alien life versus the lives of millions of Velthara. It's a simple calculation. That alien saved my daughter, Ishara said coldly. And we're grateful. But gratitude doesn't outweigh survival. Arguments erupted across the command center. Some agreed with Hammond. Sacrificing one to save many was logical. Others argued it was dishonorable. The military faction wanted to fight regardless. Ariel and Jiwan arrived, escorted by Vera. The Korath want you, Ishara told Jiwan directly. They're calling it blood debt. You killed their warriors. They want payment in kind. What happens if you refuse? Jiwan asked. They attack. They bombard our cities from orbit. Millions die, Jiwan nodded slowly. Then give me to them. No! Ariel shouted. It's logical, Jiwan said calmly. One life for millions. That's an easy choice. Not for me it isn't, Ariel said fiercely. You don't get to sacrifice yourself. Not after everything. It's my choice. Like hell it is. Ariel turned to her mother. We fight, we don't surrender him. Your Majesty, Hammond pleaded. Be reasonable. Queen Ishara looked at her daughter, then at Jiwan. She saw his calm acceptance of death, his willingness to sacrifice himself for people he barely knew. She saw her daughter's desperation, her refusal to lose the person who had kept her alive, and she made her choice. We fight, Ishara declared. Your Majesty, Hammond started. We fight, Ishara repeated, her voice iron. I will not buy peace with the blood of someone who saved my daughter. If the Korath want war, they'll get it. General Taeyun smiled grimly. Yes, Your Majesty. I'll deploy the fleet. Wait, Jiwan said. Everyone turned to him. Let me see your tactical display. Taeyun hesitated, then brought up the hologram. It showed the Korath fleet advancing in a standard attack formation. Their ships spread in a wide arc. Jiwan studied it silently for several minutes. His eyes tracked patterns, formations, movement speeds. Finally, he spoke. They're overconfident. They think you'll surrender or retreat. Their formation is designed for intimidation, not actual combat. What do you mean? Taeyun asked. Look at their spacing, too wide. They're trying to appear larger, more threatening, but it leaves gaps. Jiwan pointed. Here and here. If you hit them from these angles, they'll have to tighten formation or leave their flanks exposed. That's actually tactically sound, Taeyun admitted. There's more. Jiwan zoomed in on the planet's moon. Use this for cover. Hide half your fleet behind it. When they commit to their attack, bring those ships around fast. They won't expect it. We don't have time to reposition, one of the tactical officers said. How long until they're in weapons range? Jiwan asked. 4 hours. That's enough time. If you move now. Taeyun looked at Queen Ishara. It could work. It's unconventional, but it could work. The alien queen's daughter returned alive, and a human stood next to her. The Korath fleet advanced like a wall of steel and fire. 30 warships against 15 defenders. On paper, it should have been a massacre. General Taeyun stood at the tactical display, his face grim. All ships, hold position. Wait for my signal. The Korath drew closer. On their lead vessel, Warlord Thakin smiled. The Velthara weren't running. Good, he wanted them to watch their world burn before they died. Weapons. Range in 30 seconds, his tactical officer reported. Prepare to fire on my mark. But Thakin's smile faded as something appeared on his sensors. Ships, 10 of them, emerging from behind the moon at full speed. Ambush, his officer shouted. The hidden Velthara fleet struck the Korath flank like a hammer. Energy weapons blazed across space. Shields flared and collapsed, and 3 Korath ships exploded in the first volley. Evasive maneuvers. Thakin roared. Titan formation. But as they pulled together to defend their flank, the main Velthara force opened fire from the front. Caught between 2 forces, the Korath formation broke apart. In the command center on Neftera, Jiwan watched the tactical display calmly. They're splitting up. That's good. Good? Commander Vera asked. They're adapting to our strategy. No, they're panicking. Watch, Jiwan pointed. These 3 ships are moving too fast. They're going to overshoot their support elements. He was right. 3 Korath vessels trying to escape the crossfire pushed their engines too hard and found themselves isolated. The Velthara concentrated fire on them, destroying 2 and crippling the 3rd. They fight with aggression, not discipline, Jiwan observed. Use that. Make them angry. General Taeyun laughed despite the situation. You're a vicious strategist, human. I'm a survivor. There's a difference. The battle raged for 2 hours. The Korath had superior numbers, but the Velthara had better tactics and the advantage of defending their home. Ship by ship, the Korath fleet was whittled down, but victories came with costs. 4 Velthara ships were destroyed. 2 more were crippled. Casualties mounted. On the Korath flagship, Thakan watched his fleet fall apart. Rage consumed him. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. The Velthara should have surrendered. They should have been afraid. Instead, they fought like demons. Sir, we should withdraw, his tactical officer advised. We've lost 20 ships. We can't win this. No. Thakan's voice was ice. They humiliate us. They protect the human who murdered our warriors. They must pay. Sir, prepare the flagship for ramming speed. Target the palace. That's suicide. Then we die with honor. Set the course. The Korath flagship turned, its engines burning at maximum power. It accelerated toward Nevtera, abandoning the battle entirely. In the command center, alarms blared. Flagship is on collision course with the palace, an officer shouted. Impact in 4 minutes. Intercept it, Taeyun ordered. We can't get ships in position fast enough. Use the planetary defense platforms. They're already firing. It's not enough. The flagship's shields are too strong. Queen Ishara watched the display, her face calm despite knowing she was looking at her death. Millions lived in the palace district. The impact would kill them all. Jiwan looked at the trajectory, calculating speed and distance in his head. 3 minutes now. Maybe less. Can you evacuate? He asked. Not in time, Vera said grimly. Ariel grabbed her mother's arm. Mother, we need to go, now. There's nowhere to go, Ishara said quietly. The impact radius covers half the capital. Then we die together, Ariel said, squeezing her hand. Jiwan moved to the communications console. Can this reach their ship? Yes, but open a channel. The officer looked at Queen Ishara, who nodded. Channel open, the officer said. Jiwan spoke clearly, his voice carrying across space to the doomed Korath flagship. Warlord Thakan, I am Jiwan, the human you're looking for. On the flagship, Thakan's head snapped up. You dare contact me? I dare many things. Your warriors learned that before they died, Thakan roared in rage. You mock me? No, I'm offering you a choice. Jiwan's voice remained calm. You want revenge on me? Fine, land your ship. I'll meet you on the surface. We fight one-on-one. If you kill me, you have your revenge. If I kill you, your fleet withdraws, Jiwan. No, Ariel shouted. Thakan laughed harshly. Why would I accept? I can kill you and everyone in your precious palace, because then everyone knows you were afraid to face me alone. Jiwan's voice cut like a blade. They'll know you had to hide behind your ship because you couldn't match one human hand to hand. Silence on the channel. You think I'm afraid of you? Thakan said slowly. I think you're running, Jiwan replied. Like all your warriors ran before they died. Like cowards. Thakan's breathing was audible over the channel, harsh and fast. Pride warred with rage, warred with tactical sense. Land your ship, Jiwan said again. Face me, or be remembered as the warlord who was too scared to fight a primitive human. Jiwan, you can't... Ariel started. He silenced her with a look, then returned his attention to the channel. What's it going to be, warlord? Courage or cowardice? Thakan made his decision. Very well, human, we fight, and when I tear you apart, I'll make your princess watch. If you can, Jiwan said. The Korath flagship changed course, angling toward the palace landing platforms instead of the collision trajectory. The command center erupted in relieved chaos. You bought us time, Taeyun said, but he'll kill you. Korath warlords are enhanced. Stronger, faster, tougher than any baseline biological. I know. You can't win. Probably not, Jiwan agreed. But I can try, Ariel grabbed his arm. This is insane. You're going to die. Maybe, but the palace won't be destroyed. That's what matters. You matter. Ariel's voice cracked. You matter to me. Ji-won touched her face gently. I know, and you matter to me. That's why I have to do this. I won't let you. You don't have a choice. Ji-won looked at Queen Ishara. Your Majesty, I need weapons. My pistols won't work against Korath armor. Ishara studied him. This strange human willing to die for people he'd known only days. Give him whatever he needs, and Mother, you can't. He's made his choice, Ariel. We have to respect it. I don't respect it. I hate it. Ji-won turned to Ariel, taking both her hands. On Havak 9, you asked me once why I kept fighting when it would be easier to give up. Remember what I said? You said because someone had to. Someone still has to. Ji-won kissed her forehead. I'm not giving up. I'm doing what I do best. What's that? Surviving. The Korath flagship landed on the main platform, its bulk dwarfing the other ships. The boarding ramp lowered and Korath warriors poured out, forming a circle around the platform. They were massive, over 7 feet tall, with gray skin and enhanced musculature visible through their armor. Last came Thakan. The warlord stood 8 feet tall, his body more machine than biology after decades of combat enhancements. Blades extended from his forearms. His eyes glowed red. Ji-won walked out to meet him alone. He wore simple combat armor provided by the Velthara military. It wouldn't stop Thakan's weapons, but it might buy him seconds. He carried no guns. Ranged weapons wouldn't help in close combat. Instead, he held 2 combat knives, short and balanced, primitive tools against an enhanced killing machine. You're smaller than I expected, Thakan growled. You're uglier, Ji-won replied calmly. Thakan laughed. Brave words for a dead man. Not dead yet. Behind the palace windows, thousands watched. In the command center, cameras broadcast the scene across the system. The remaining Korath fleet held position, watching their warlord face the human who had humiliated them. When I kill you, Thakan said, I'll take your head to my people as a trophy. When you try to kill me, Ji-won corrected, you'll learn why 46 of your warriors failed. They fought you with honor. They fought me with stupidity, Ji-won said. Just like you're about to. With a roar, Thakan charged. He was fast, faster than any human had a right to be. His arm blades swung in killing arcs powered by enhanced muscles and combat programming. But Ji-won wasn't there. He'd moved the instant before Thakan started his swing, reading body language and muscle tension. The blade cut air where Ji-won had been standing. Ji-won's knife flashed, cutting through a weak point in Thakan's armor at the hip. It wasn't deep. Barely a wound. But it was first blood. Thakan spun, striking again. Ji-won ducked under the blade, rolled across the platform, came up already moving. He fought like water. Never where the attack landed, always flowing to the next position. Stand still, Thakan roared. No, Ji-won said. In the command center, General Taeyun watched in amazement. He's using the warlord's enhancements against him. All that speed and power means nothing if he can't connect. He can't keep dodging forever, Vera said. Eventually he'll tire. Humans don't tire like we do, Ariel said, her voice tight with fear and pride. That's their advantage. They just keep going, the fight continued. Thakan's attacks grew wilder, more desperate. Every missed strike consumed energy, charged the implants that enhanced his body. Heat built up in his systems. Ji-won stayed calm, breathing controlled, movements efficient. He'd fought for survival every day for 38 years. This was just another hunt. Just another predator trying to kill him. The alien queen's daughter returned alive, and a human stood next to her. Ji-won woke 3 days later. The medical bay was quiet, lit by soft blue lights. Machines beeped steadily, monitoring his vital signs. His body ached everywhere, but he was alive. He tried to sit up and found Ariel asleep in a chair beside his bed, her hand holding his. You should rest more, Dr. Minho said from the doorway. Your injuries were severe. How long was I out? 73 hours. Your body needed time to heal. Minho approached with a scanner. Though I must say, human healing is remarkable. Injuries that would take a Velthara weeks to recover from are already closing on you. Evolution, Ji-won said. My ancestors who healed fast survived. Those who didn't. Brutal, efficient. Minho checked the scanner readings. You humans are walking contradictions. Physically, you're not particularly impressive compared to other species. Yet somehow you survive what kills everyone else. We're stubborn, Ji-won said simply. Ariel stirred, her eyes opening. When she saw Ji-won awake, relief flooded her face. You're awake. So are you. I've barely slept since you collapsed. She squeezed his hand. I thought you were going to die. So did I, honestly. That's not funny. Wasn't meant to be. Ji-won looked at her seriously. Thank you for staying. Where else would I be? Before Ji-won could answer, Commander Vera entered with 3 other officers. She looked different, respectful in a way she hadn't been before. The human wakes, Vera said. Good, we need to talk. About what? About what you did. Vera pulled up a holographic display. Your strategy saved the fleet. Your sacrifice saved the palace. And your victory ended the Korath threat. She paused. The military wants to understand how you think. I don't think differently than anyone else. Yes, you do. General Taiyun entered, his massive frame filling the doorway. Every tactical simulation we ran said the Korath should have won. Every algorithm, every strategic model, but you saw something they didn't. I saw fear, Ji-won said. They were overconfident, which meant they were afraid of showing weakness. So I made them commit to their formation, then punished them for it. You fought Thaken hand-to-hand, Taeyun continued. He was enhanced, faster, stronger. You shouldn't have won. I didn't need to be faster or stronger. I just needed to outlast him. That's what I want to understand, Taeyun said. How humans keep fighting when they should quit. Ji-won thought about how to explain 38 years of survival instinct. On Earth, there's an animal called a honey badger. It's small, not particularly strong. But it never gives up. It fights lions, snakes, anything. It gets hurt and keeps fighting. He met Taeyun's eyes. Humans are like that. We don't quit, even when we should. Useful trait for soldiers, Taeyun observed. Or survivors, Ji-won said quietly. Over the next week, while Ji-won recovered, preparations began for the Earth expedition. Queen Ishara had decided to lead it personally, bringing Ariel, Ambassador Nari, and a full diplomatic contingent. We're making history, Nari said during one planning session. First contact with a new spacefaring species. They're not spacefaring, Duke Heyman pointed out. They've barely left their own planet. Yet one of them survived alone on a death world for 4 decades and defeated a Korath warlord, Nari countered. I think that's worth recognizing, or worth being cautious about. We're being cautious, Queen Ishara said. That's why I'm going myself, to show respect and assess the situation personally. In his medical room, Ji-won received visitors. Soldiers came to thank him. Scientists asked questions about Earth and human biology. Even some of the council members who had wanted him quarantined stopped by to apologize. But the most important visitor was Ariel. She came every day, sometimes just sitting with him in silence, sometimes talking about HFY 9 and the memories they shared. One evening, as Nevtera's 3 sons sat outside the window, she asked the question she'd been avoiding. What happens when we reach Earth? Ji-won looked at the orange sky. I don't know. I've been gone so long. Everyone I knew is gone. You have family? Had parents, a sister? They'd be dead by now. Old age, if nothing else. I'm sorry. Don't be. I made peace with that loss years ago. Ji-won turned to her. What about you? What happens when we reach Earth? We make first contact. Open diplomatic relations. Begin cultural exchange. Ariel smiled slightly. Standard protocol. That's not what I meant, I know. She looked at her hands. I don't know what happens with us. Does something need to happen? I don't know that either. Ariel met his eyes. On HFY 9, everything was simple. Survive, stay alive. Help each other. Here in civilization, everything's complicated. Survival is still survival, Ji-won said. Just different predators. Are you a predator? When I need to be, Ariel laughed. That's what scares the council. You're too honest about what you are. What am I? Dangerous, useful, heroic, terrifying. She touched his face gently. And important to me. Before Ji-won could respond, alarms blared through the palace. Not attack alarms, something else. Communications alerts. Vera burst into the room. We're getting signals from the frontier. Multiple distress calls. From where? Ariel demanded. Everywhere. Vera's face was grim. Colonies, outposts, trade stations, all reporting the same thing. They're under attack. Korath again? No. Something worse. In the command center, Queen Ishara stood before a wall of holographic displays, each showing a different emergency broadcast. The messages were fragmented, desperate. They came out of nowhere. Shields are failing. God. There's so many of them, not responding to communications. They're consuming everything. One by one. The signals cut out. Ambassador Nari pulled up data from the Frontier Surveillance Network. What she saw made her blood run cold. Ships, hundreds of them. Not Korath, not any known species. Organic looking, like they'd been grown rather than built. They moved in perfect coordination, descending on frontier worlds and stripping them clean. What are they? Ishara asked. Unknown, Your Majesty. But they're moving toward civilized space. Fast. General Tayun zoomed in on one of the ships. It was massive, larger than any Korath dreadnought, its hull pulsing with bioluminescence. Send scout ships. I want to know what we're dealing with. The scouts reached the first attacked world 6 hours later. What they found was nightmare fuel. The planet was dead. Not destroyed, consumed. The oceans were gone. The atmosphere was thin and toxic. The cities were empty shells. Every organic material harvested down to the molecular level. And the fleet was already moving to the next world. They're eating them, Minho said in horror. They're consuming entire planets. Why? Someone asked. Because they can, Jiwon said quietly. Everyone turned to him. He stood in the doorway, freshly bandaged, with Ariel supporting him. Because they're a hive species. They don't negotiate, they don't trade. They just consume. How do you know? Taeyun demanded. Because Earth has species like this. Locusts. Ants. When food is scarce, they swarm and eat everything. Then they move on. Jiwon looked at the display. This is a swarm. And it's heading toward you. Can we fight them? Can you fight a hurricane? Jiwon shook his head. You can prepare. You can defend. But you can't stop it. Ambassador Nari pulled up projections. At their current speed, they'll reach the core systems within months. Including Earth. Earth? Jiwon's voice sharpened. It's in their path. Your homeworld will be one of the first planets they consume. Silence fell over the command center. How many people on Earth? Ishira asked. 9 billion, Nari said quietly. Jiwon stared at the display, at the projected path of the swarm. His world. His species. Everything he'd dreamed of returning to for 38 years. About to be devoured by something that saw them as food. We have to warn them, he said. They don't have the technology to fight this, Heyman said. Warning them would just cause panic. They deserve to know to what end. They can't evacuate. They can't defend themselves. All we do is make them afraid before they die. Jiwon turned to Heyman slowly. My people survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and extinction events. We've been knocked down so many times we've forgotten how to stay down. You think we'll just lie down and die? They're primitives against an existential threat. They're humans, Jiwon said. And humans don't quit. Queen Ishira raised her hand for silence. We warn them. We give them the choice to fight or flee, and we offer them aid. Your Majesty, several voices protested at once. I said we offer aid. Ishara's voice cut through the objections. This human saved my daughter. Saved this palace, defeated a Korath warlord. If his species is anything like him, they deserve a chance. And if they're not, Hammond asked, then we still gave them the chance. Ishira looked at Jiwon. Ambassador Nari, prepare the Earth expedition. We leave immediately. Yes, Your Majesty. General Taeyun, I want defensive preparations for every system between the Swarm and Nevterra. Start evacuating frontier colonies. It will be done. And someone get me everything we know about this swarm. I want to know what we're fighting. The command center erupted into controlled chaos as everyone moved to execute their orders. Ariel pulled Jiwon aside. Are you okay? No. His voice was hollow. My entire species is about to be wiped out and there's nothing I can do. You can warn them. Give them time to prepare. For what? We don't have the weapons. We don't have the ships. We don't have anything they don't. The alien queen's daughter returned alive, and a human stood next to her. The Earth appeared through the view screen like a blue jewel against black space. Jiwon stood frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. 38 years. 38 years since he'd seen this sight. The planet looked exactly as he remembered. White clouds swirling over blue oceans, green and brown continents beneath. Home. It's beautiful, Ariel said softly beside him. Yes, Jiwon managed. His voice cracked. Yes, it is. Queen Ishara joined them at the view screen. Ambassador Nari, begin the broadcast protocol. All major languages, all communication frequencies. Let them know we're here. The diplomatic ship transmitted a simple message in dozens of languages. We come in peace. We are returning one of yours. We bring urgent news. On Earth, chaos erupted. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, emergency sessions were called. World leaders scrambled to understand what was happening. Military installations tracked the alien ships with a mix of terror and excitement. Scientists analyzed the broadcasts, confirming they were genuine. Humanity was not alone. Some celebrated, some panicked. Religious leaders offered conflicting interpretations. Conspiracy theorists claimed they'd been right all along. The internet exploded with theories, memes, and heated arguments. But mostly people were afraid. In Seoul, a woman named Bora sat in her small apartment watching the news. She was 43, a linguist specializing in communication theory. When the UN put out a call for experts to help with first contact, she volunteered immediately. "Are you insane?" her brother asked. "They could be dangerous. They could be our salvation," Bora replied. "Either way, someone has to talk to them." The Velthara ships landed in the Gobi Desert, a neutral location far from major population centers. Within hours, military forces from a dozen countries surrounded the site. Tanks, aircraft, soldiers. Humanity showed its teeth just in case. Ambassador Nari stepped out first, her silver skin gleaming in Earth's sunlight. She wore formal diplomatic robes and moved slowly, carefully, to appear non-threatening. The assembled humans stared in awe and fear. "People of Earth," Nari said, her voice broadcast through translation devices. "We are the Velthara. We come in peace. We bring someone home." Jiwan appeared at the top of the ramp. For a moment, no one moved. Then someone in the crowd shouted, "Oh my God, he's human!" Jiwan walked down the ramp slowly. He wore simple clothes, neither human nor Velthara, just practical garments. His eyes scanned the crowd, seeing faces so familiar yet so strange after decades away. "My name is Jiwan," he said in Korean, his voice carrying across the desert. "I was born in Seoul 43 years ago. I left Earth 38 years ago on the colony ship Destiny. I've been gone a long time, but I'm home now." The crowd erupted. Questions shouted in dozens of languages. Cameras flashed. Soldiers tensed. Bora pushed through the crowd, her UN credentials allowing her past the security line. She approached Jiwan cautiously. "You speak Korean," she said. "It's my first language," Jiwan replied, "though it feels strange after so long." "Where have you been?" "Surviving. And learning. And finding out we're not alone in the universe." Behind him, Queen Ishara descended the ramp with Ariel and Commander Vera. The sight of the alien queen, clearly royal despite her strange appearance, sent another wave of shock through the crowd. "I am Queen Ishara of the Velthara Empire," she announced. "We return this human to you with gratitude and respect. He saved my daughter's life. He saved countless others. We owe him a debt we can never repay. Why tell us this?" a UN representative asked, stepping forward. "Because you deserve to know that one of your own is a hero." Ishara paused. "And because we bring urgent news. A threat approaches, not just to Earth but to all life in this region of space." The crowd fell silent. "What kind of threat?" the representative asked. "May we discuss this somewhere more private?" Ishara suggested. "What we must tell you requires careful explanation." Within hours, delegations from Earth's major governments assembled at the UN headquarters. The chamber was packed. Representatives from every nation, scientists, military leaders, and experts in fields ranging from physics to psychology. Jiwan sat at the center table between Queen Ishara and Bora, who had been assigned as Earth's primary liaison. The weight of thousands of eyes pressed down on him. "Before we discuss the threat," the UN Secretary General said, "we need to understand the situation. Jiwan, you've been gone for nearly 4 decades. Can you explain what happened?" Jiwan told them everything. The Destiny's crash, 38 years alone on Havoc 9. Finding Ariel, their survival, the return to Velthara space, the battle with the Korath. The chamber listened in absolute silence. When he finished, a Chinese general spoke up. "You fought an enhanced alien warrior hand-to-hand and won?" "Yes." "Using what training?" "Survival instinct," Jiwan said simply. "And refusal to quit. That's not training. On Earth it is. We've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years." Ambassador Nari stood. "That's what we need you to understand. Your species evolved differently than most in the galaxy. Most intelligent species developed on relatively peaceful worlds. Earth is what we classify as a Class 9 death world. Everything here is designed to kill you: the gravity, the weather, the diseases, the predators. That's just Earth, an American scientist said. Exactly. To you, it's normal. To the rest of the galaxy, it's horrifying. Nari pulled up holographic displays showing comparative data. Your average human can survive injuries that would kill most species. You can endure environmental extremes that would be lethal to others. Your persistence hunting, running prey to death over hours or days, is considered borderline impossible by galactic standards. What does this have to do with the threat? Someone asked. Queen Ishara stood, her presence commanding immediate attention. Because the threat heading toward Earth doesn't negotiate. It doesn't conquer. It consumes. Entire worlds stripped to bedrock. She displayed images of the destroyed frontier planets. We call them the Nalth, a hive mind species that views all organic life as food. The chamber erupted in panic. How long do we have? The Secretary General asked, his voice cutting through the noise. 4 months, Ishara said. Maybe 5. Can we fight them? The Velthara Empire has been fighting them for 3 weeks. We've lost 14 colonies. Our fleets slow them but don't stop them. Ishara met their eyes. We're losing. Then what chance do we have? Someone shouted. We don't even have real warships. You have something better, Ariel said, standing beside her mother. You have humans. Confused silence. I spent 3 years on a death world with one human, Ariel continued. I watched him survive things that should have killed him dozens of times. I watched him adapt, improvise, and refuse to accept defeat. If your species is anything like him, then the Nalth have no idea what they're facing. We're not soldiers, Bora said quietly. Most of us have never fought a war. Neither had I, Ariel replied. But he taught me. He can teach you. Jiwan stood slowly. I don't know if we can win, but I know humans don't give up. We didn't give up when ice covered the planet. We didn't give up when disease killed millions. We didn't give up when we nearly destroyed ourselves with nuclear weapons. He looked around the chamber. We survived because we refused to quit. That's what we do best. It won't be enough against a species that eats planets, someone said. Maybe not, Jiwan agreed. But it's what we have, and we make it work or we die trying. General. Taiyun entered the chamber with Commander Farah. The Velthara military officer had come specifically to address Earth's defenders. I am General Taiyun of the Velthara Defense Force, he said. I've studied your history. Your wars, your conflicts, your survival. You fight differently than any species we've encountered. How so? An American general asked. You embrace chaos. Most species seek order. Clear command structures, predictable tactics. Humans improvise. You turn defeat into victory through sheer unpredictability. Taiyun pulled up battle data. When Jiwan suggested tactics against the Korath, every algorithm said they wouldn't work. They worked because they were unpredictable, illogical, human. You want us to fight like Jiwan? A Korean admiral asked. I want you to fight like humans. We'll provide technology, ships, weapons, shields, but we need you to provide the one thing we lack, the refusal to accept defeat. Over the next week, Earth transformed. The Velthara shared technology freely. Shipyards that had been building satellites began constructing warships using Velthara designs. Weapons factories retooled to produce energy weapons. Scientists worked around the clock to understand alien technology, but more importantly, Earth's military began training with Velthara forces. Jiwan found himself leading sessions, teaching alien soldiers and human forces alike. He taught them guerrilla tactics, improvised strategies, and the psychology of survival. Don't fight fair, he told a mixed group of human and Velthara troops. Fair fights are for sports. Survival is about using every advantage, every trick, every dirty tactic you can think of. A young Velthara officer raised her hand. That's dishonorable. Honor doesn't matter if you're dead, Jiwan replied. The Nalth don't care about honor. They care about consumption. You need to care about staying alive. Bora watched from the side, translating when needed. After the session, she approached Jiwan. The alien queen's daughter returned alive, and a human stood next to her. The Nalth arrived early. Instead of 4 months, they reached the outer solar system in 10 weeks. Scout ships detected them past Neptune, a swarm of organic vessels numbering in the thousands, all moving with perfect coordination toward Earth. We're out of time, General Taiyun said in the command center. All defensive positions prepare for engagement. Earth's combined fleet, human and Velthara ships working together, move to intercept. 50 vessels against thousands. The odds were impossible, but humans had survived impossible before. Jiwan stood in the command center aboard the flagship Unity, a joint construction that symbolized the alliance. Beside him were Ariel, Commander Vera, Bora, and a dozen other key personnel. First contact in 30 minutes, Vera reported. Remember the plan, Jiwan said calmly. We're not trying to win in space. We're trying to force them to land. By letting them think they're winning, Ariel added. Risky strategy, a human admiral muttered. All strategies are risky, Jiwan replied. This one just admits it. The North Fleet approached like a living wave. Their ships pulsed with bioluminescence, organic hulls flexing as they moved. They communicated through bioelectrical signals. A hive mind operating thousands of bodies as one. The Allied fleet opened fire. Energy weapons blazed across space. Missiles launched. Human kinetic weapons tore through Nalth hulls. For every Nalth ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. They're not slowing down, someone shouted. Good, Jiwan said. Let them come. The space battle raged for hours. Allied ships fought brilliantly, using tactics that confused the hive mind. Humans would strike, retreat, strike again from different angles. The Nalth expected predictable resistance. Instead, they got chaos, but numbers told. One by one, Allied ships fell. We're losing, Vera said grimly. We're retreating, Jiwan corrected. There's a difference. All ships fall back to Earth orbit. Make them follow. The Allied fleet retreated, drawing the Nalth toward Earth. The hive mind pursued, sensing victory. On Earth's surface, billions watched the sky. Every major city had been evacuated or fortified. Military forces gathered. Civilian volunteers trained with whatever weapons they could find. Humanity prepared for the worst. In Seoul, Heejin worked with a team of Velthara engineers, finalizing the planetary defense grid, energy weapons positioned across the globe, coordinated through hybrid human Velthara systems. Will it be enough? A young engineer asked her. It has to be, Heejin said, making final adjustments. Because there's no plan B. The Nalth reached Earth orbit. Their fleet blocked out the stars. Thousands of ships surrounding the planet like predators circling prey. Then they began landing. Hundreds of bioships descended through the atmosphere, targeting major cities. New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, everywhere at once. All defensive positions engage, General Taiyun ordered. The planetary defense grid activated. Energy weapons fired from hidden installations, striking Nalth ships as they descended. Anti-aircraft batteries roared. Missiles streaked skyward. Nalth ships crashed and burned. But more kept coming. The first landing occurred outside Beijing. A Nalth bioship settled like a diseased growth, its hull splitting open to release ground forces. They were nightmares made flesh, biomechanical organisms, part creature and part machine, all controlled by the hive mind. They moved with perfect coordination, advancing in waves. Chinese military forces opened fire. Bullets, energy weapons, explosives, everything humanity had poured into the approaching hive. The Nalth fell. But they kept coming. They're adapting, a Chinese general reported. They're learning our tactics in real time. Then change tactics faster than they can learn, Jiwan responded over the command channel. Use what they don't expect. In New York, American forces lured Nalth troops into subway tunnels, then collapsed them. In Moscow, Russian soldiers used the harsh winter to freeze Nalth biosystems. In Mumbai, defenders flooded low-lying areas, drowning the organic invaders. Humans fought like humans, dirty, unpredictable, and desperate, and it worked. The hive mind had conquered dozens of worlds, but those civilizations fought conventionally. They used standard tactics, predictable strategies. Humans threw out the playbook and made up new rules every hour, but the Nalth kept coming. On the Unity flagship, Jiwan monitored feeds from around the globe. Everywhere, the story was the same. Humanity fighting brilliantly but being overwhelmed by numbers. We can't hold, Bora said quietly. There's too many of them. We don't have to hold everywhere, Jiwan said. We just have to hold long enough. For what? For them to commit everything. For them to think they've won. Jiwan pulled up a strategic display. The Nalth are a hive mind. That's their strength. But it's also their weakness. I don't understand, Ariel said. A hive mind needs coordination. Needs connection. Every Noth organism is linked to the whole. That's how they operate so efficiently. Jiwan highlighted something on the display, but if you cut that connection, if you disrupt the hive mind itself, they all fail at once. You want to attack their command ship? General Taeyun asked. Not attack, destroy, completely. Jiwan zoomed in on the largest Noth vessel, sitting at the center of the orbital fleet. That's the hive nexus. Kill it, and the entire Noth force becomes mindless. It's surrounded by thousands of ships, Vera protested. We'd never reach it. Not in ships, no. G1 looked at Ariel. But what about a small strike team? Something too small to notice until it's too late. Understanding dawned on Ariel's face. A boarding action. Like on Havak 9 when we attacked the Korath salvage ship. Exactly. That's insane, someone said. Probably, Jiwan agreed. But it's also the only chance we have. Queen Ishara, monitoring from Nevterra, spoke over the channel. Jiwan, you can't seriously be suggesting what I think you're suggesting. I'm suggesting exactly that, Your Majesty. A small team using stealth tech boards the hive nexus and destroys it from inside. It's suicide. It's survival. If we do nothing, Earth falls. Then the Noth move on to the next world and the next. Someone has to stop them here. Silence on the command channel. Finally, Ariel spoke. I'm going with you. Ariel, no, Queen Ishara said sharply. Mother, I've fought beside him before. I trust him. And he'll need someone who knows the Noth biosignatures. Ariel's voice was steady. I'm going. I'll go too, Hijin said, appearing on the comm feed from Seoul. You'll need an engineer. Someone who can work with the biotech. And me, Commander Vera added. You'll need firepower. I'm in, Bora said. Someone needs to document this. And translate if we encounter anything unexpected. Jiwan looked at the volunteers. Human and Velthara ready to risk everything. This isn't going to be easy. Nothing worth doing is, Vera replied. The strike team assembled on the Unity. 6 people total. Jiwan, Ariel, Vera, Hijin, Bora, and 1 Velthara combat specialist named Deho. They wore powered armor, carried both human and Velthara weapons, and prepped a stealth shuttle. The plan is simple, Jiwan briefed them. We use the battle as cover. Slip through the Noth fleet, board the Nexus, fight to its core, and destroy it. Then we get out before it explodes. What if we can't get out? Bora asked. Then we make sure it's worth it, Jiwan said simply. They launched during the height of the battle, while human and Velthara forces fought desperately on Earth's surface and in orbit. The tiny shuttle slipped through the chaos, its stealth systems hiding it from Noth sensors. Inside, the team sat in tense silence. I'm scared, Hijin admitted quietly. Good, Jiwan said. Fear keeps you sharp. Just don't let it stop you. Did you feel fear on Havak 9? Every single day. Fear is normal. Giving up isn't. The shuttle approached the hive nexus. Up close, it was enormous, larger than any ship humanity had ever built, its organic hull pulsing with internal light. Bioelectrical energy crackled across its surface. That's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen, Deho muttered. Then it's a good thing we're about to blow it up, Vera said grimly. They docked on an auxiliary bioport, cutting through the organic membrane with plasma torches. Inside, the ship was alive. Walls that breathed, corridors that pulsed, everything connected to the hive mind. This is wrong on every level, Bora whispered. Stay focused, Jiwan said. Hyejin, which way to the core? Hyejin pulled up scanner data. Central axis, 3 levels down. But there's movement everywhere. Noth organisms patrolling. Then we move fast and quiet. Stay together. Watch each other's backs. They advanced through the living nightmare. The hive nexus was designed for efficiency, not defense. The Noth never expected anyone to board their command ship. But as the team penetrated deeper, the hive mind noticed them. Alarms rippled through the biostructure. Noth warriors appeared, emerging from organic growth chambers. The team fought. Vera's military training showed. Deho's combat programming kicked in, but it was Jiwan who led them, navigating the chaos with the instincts of a survivor who'd spent decades fighting impossible odds. Left corridor, he shouted. Move! They ran through pulsing passages while Noth warriors pursued. Ariel fought beside Jiwan, the lessons from Havak 9 serving her well. Hijin proved surprisingly capable, using engineering knowledge to sabotage biosystems and create obstacles. Core chamber ahead, Heejin called out.